and welcome back to Star Trek Online. In recap, we've been intermittently dealing with incursions from beyond our universe, from other realities, specifically concerning the Borg. The first foe we faced was the Borg Kingdom from the Mirror Universe, a more militant and war-minded foe than our inexorable and tenacious Borg that we're familiar with. Then we encountered the Control Borg, from a universe where the Section 31 AI was assimilated into the Collective, creating a more nanomachine-focused wave of assimilation. Those later blue Control Borg were also native to a universe where the Iconian War had swung in favour of the Iconians, only for them to come into conflict with the Control Borg, and the remnants of other governments had to unify under the Iconian banner to survive. In this universe, Tasha Yar was the Borg Queen too. But amidst this all, the Aetherians, a mostly unknown species who had lost most of their home reality to the Borg, reached out with the sole intent to aid others into combating them. The Aetherians have only presented themselves as helpful, if a little over-preachy, but there is just something about them that does not engender trust. If they've been doing this for such a long time, then where are the other powers that they claim to have helped? We pick up several weeks after the encounter with the Control Borg, with Mark Hale doing paperwork. Oh, for a distraction about now.
Greetings. Hugh, Director of the Cooperative Borg and Borg Reclamation Project speaking. I am reaching out to you as Command has spoken very highly of your accomplishments. In particular, I'm told you're experienced in dealing with a variety of Borg. Another incursion is taking place in the Ramazad system. Can you meet me there? I'll send you my coordinates upon arrival. I'm still waiting to hear back from other allies. We'll need all the backup we can get.
Interesting. This message seems filtered down to us from command, so we accept.
There is always a choice.
So, that was Director Hugh of the Borg Reclamation Project, a former Romulan Free State initiative to salvage a derelict Borg cube in 2399 called the Artifact. But, spoilers for Star Trek Picard incoming, he died during the events that crashed it on Coppelius. So how could he be here? Well, we have two options. One is that, simply, the Star Trek Online is its own splinter timeline. The alternative is that he survived the encounter, which, considering the extent of his Borg modifications, he may well be able to do so. Either way, we've got a new assignment, so we break orbit from Vulcan and set a course for the Ram-Izad system, which will take us some time to get to, considering we have to utilise the Solanae and Janolan Dyson spheres, Iconian gateways, to cross into the Delta Quadrant. At least it's less than a 10-year trip. If we can use the transwarp gates, we can cut it down to maybe several days. Well, hopefully this is just a meeting, although he did mention the Control Borg, so let's just see where this takes us. We arrive in the Delta Quadrant, questions in our mind, and set a course to rendezvous with Hugh. Incidentally, if you play as a liberated Borg from the beginning of the game, which I guess any captain of Star Trek Online now technically is, Hugh has a couple of extra lines for your character, confirming that he is aware of your career. In decades past, people who were recovered from the Borg were often treated with wariness. if they had spent a long time in the collective. Mental issues and security concerns were chief among the priorities levelled against them, but after further years of fighting the Borg, we've become better at recuperating the XBs as they were known.
What a surprise! I didn't expect to see you here. I'm responding to a call from Director Hugh of the Cooperative Borg. The Lukari Concordium has recently chosen me as their ambassador for all things Borg. He asked me to join him here to help with another incursion. I've been here for quite a while now. I'm not sure he's coming. Are you here to help as well?
Admiral Kumaraki has joined us for several missions against the Borg already, including the one where we were assimilated. It's good to see you again, and yes, we're here for the same reason. However, we've not heard from the Director, directly for some time. His silence is a concern.
I agree. He's typically quite punctual. So I've heard, anyway. Well, I'm afraid I've also come across some starship debris in the system that I have yet to identify. It appears we're arriving at the aftermath of a tense clash. I suggest we try and find the Director together. With your permission, I'll set up a sensor link so that our ships can share any data we find.
Agreed. Let's be about it.
Sensor link is active. Let's start with the ship debris up ahead.
The fact that she's not already begun scanning the debris despite being here for a while is addressed in a minute. But what if it's the remains of a Borg cooperative vessel, and the Director's in danger? Well, we're here now, so let's get investigating. Closing in on the metal shards, they do indeed look like the dark black metal of a Borg ship. But what side?
Let's see. Sensors are picking up microscopic fragments of advanced regenerative circuitry, nanites, and decentralized control system debris. Well, this is most certainly a fallen cooperative probe. Something must have happened to their fleet. Let's hurry. There's more debris over there.
Well, that's not a good sign. Sounds like it was our expected greeter. The Ramazad system is home to an M-class world with 3.2 billion people on it, but they're only real enemies with the Krenim, and I doubt they have anything to do with this. We move to investigate the next debris field, drawing closer to the scattered asteroids and the planetoid.
Scans indicate high-density alloy and further Borg circuitry fragments. Disruptive, not regenerative. In any case, this is not cooperative debris. The quantum signature doesn't even match our universe.
Well, Hugh's message did say he wanted help with alternate universe Borg. Perhaps the issue he was investigating intensified and a battle ensued. We seemingly get confirmation on this hypothesis when we round a particularly large asteroid and find more debris. However, this cluster shelters a smoking gun of evidence.
Look out! Control Borg sphere incoming!
Trouble is pointless.
I agree.
Well done. That certainly explains the debris' quantum signature. Let's continue. I see a final cluster of debris up ahead.
So, we've confirmed Control Borg are in our reality. Not good. This must be the topic Hugh wished to discuss with us. They may be trying to establish a foothold here. We move on to investigate the next debris pile. This one a rather large mesh of beams.
This fractal alloy is unlike any debris I've ever seen. It's protected by a quantum dispersal field. Someone must have come back to scatter the ship's debris signature. Its origin is untraceable.
So we can't detect its universal origin? That's a very specific obfuscation.
Heads up! Subspace sensors are picking up residual distortion nearby. A warp trail. Recalibrating sensor array frequencies.
For a second I thought you meant an active warp signature.
Tachyon decay and subspace phase variances suggest this warp trail is 2 hours old. We should get closer. There might be survivors.
The trail ends on the other side of that large rock, so we set our destination. A warp trail after the event. Perhaps backup, reinforcements, rescues? Why have our readings been so hard to get here?
Oh dear. Sensor readings are fluctuating erratically due to the magnetic properties of dense asteroids nearby.
There we go. That's probably why the Rescava took so long to locate the debris in the first place. As we round the asteroid, however, the trail ends in a sight we didn't expect to see. A familiar triangle-shaped vessel, miles wide and hyper-advanced. the flagship of our allies, the Aetherians.
It's the Harmony. What's Tassine Faye's ship doing here?
Not much by the look of it. It looks kinda busted.
Perhaps Tassine Faye was called in to help as well. The vessel seems to be suffering from multiple systems failures. They may require assistance. Shall we send out a Hale?
Yes, that does seem to be Starfleet's MO, doesn't it? Got a problem? Send a Hale. Oh, come on, that was good. Aye. After you.
Oh, right. Starship Harmony, this is Admiral Kumar K of the LSS Ruskava. Come in. Tassine Faye, do you copy? No response. Complete comm silence. I know this isn't exactly standard protocol, but considering the potential gravity of the situation, should we consider beaming down?
Let's try a thorough energy field scan first, shall we?
You're right. Let's proceed with caution.
Yes, although I would love to get a look inside an Aetherian ship. As far as I know, no one has.
It's no use. The magnetic properties of the denser asteroids near the ship are interfering with our scans.
Well, then let's get it away from the asteroid. Come on, it's not over yet. I'll get a tractor lock on it and drag it away.
An excellent idea. I'll send out an encoded subspace transmission detailing our intentions. I should be able to transmit it on a narrow enough frequency for it to bypass the interference, but we're unlikely to be met with a response, I'm afraid. Here's hoping Tassine Faye is able to receive it, and that we aren't breaking with any Aetherian customs.
And that Aetherian ships allow themselves to be tracked. But given the circumstances, I'm sure they'd understand.
Right. I have identified a section of the Ramizad system where signals are not compromised by the asteroids. Meet me there.
Target locked. Engage tractor beam.
Who would have thought that you'd be towing the Harmony today?
Yes, the Aetherians always seemed so mighty and, well, ethereal. To see their ship like this is unnerving. What could do this? They've repeatedly held their own against even the Borg. Then again, didn't Kumarki file a report about ship malfunctions a while ago? I wonder if that's related.
The ship is still too close to the asteroids. Just a little further. It's working! The interference is subsiding. I suggest we try a final hail before we scan again. Starship Harmony, this is Admiral Kumarke. Do you copy? Starship Harmony, do you require assistance? Nothing. I'll consult with my comms officer. Ensign Farunte, what's your assessment?
The Harmony might be experiencing a communications blackout, Admiral. This is likely unrelated to the interference caused by any asteroids.
So they've clearly sustained a lot of damage too.
Well, time really could be of the essence. We still have no idea where the Director is or if he's all right. And I'm beginning to worry that the same might be said of Tassine Faye.
Agreed. Well, let's see if we can get a clearer look inside that ship now we've pulled it away from the asteroid field.
This doesn't look good. Shields are lowered. I'm not detecting any breaches, so it must have been done voluntarily. Scans also indicate that the atmospheric conditions aboard the ship are highly unusual, and only just able to accommodate other species. Furthermore, the ship itself is exhibiting properties that are consistent with a multidimensional vortex. It's as if it is phasing in and out of existence. Or at least parts of it seem to be. What's more, multiple sections of the ship seem to be under strict lockdown.
Could there be an interphasic rift in system? We saw something like this before on the Defiant. Do you think we should beam over?
I agree. I recommend we stay on high alert. Who knows what caused the ship's partial lockdown? This mission could be quite dangerous, especially if the Aetherians are unresponsive.
We expressed concern over the Admiral taking part in the away mission. After all, the last time we did a mission together, I was assimilated and she was traumatized. You don't have to join the away team. We can use eyes out here. You don't have to endanger yourself again.
Quite sure, but I do appreciate you asking. I would rather face my fears head-on than retreat to the proverbial shadows. It's been quite good for me. I feel empowered, actually.
Very well then. We get two options, a more officious response or the encouraging. There's no one I'd rather team up with.
You read my mind. The ship's systems should have logged our attempts at establishing contact before beaming down. That said, I'm not sure I trust the accuracy of any of our current scans, given the situation. One last thing. I do recommend we leave our bridge officers behind for now. I don't feel comfortable sending anyone else down there before conducting a preliminary assessment. Ready when you are.
Of course, what I want to say is what a bad idea it is to send out only the two highest ranking officers from two different governments over to a potentially dangerous ship with no escort. What I want to say is altruism is very noble, but this seems simply a bit dumb. What I actually say is, sure thing, let's go. If we survive this, I'm picking the next away mission. Did you just...
This interior. It's beautiful.
It looks like the hallway behind us is locked. In fact, this room is under full lockdown, which I suspect will be true of most of the rooms we will encounter aboard the Harmony. Bypassing security lockouts might require some thinking outside the triangle.
Close.
Or box?
Oh,
It's an Earth saying.
good effort.
I suggest we take a look around. Perhaps there's another way out. Let's tread carefully.
A quick check confirms that the door behind us is indeed locked. It must have triggered on our arrival, some security measure or something. Looking around, we get our first good look at Aetherian design, and it's kind of Tholian, focused on geometric shapes, hinting at some crystalline technology at the heart of it. The interfaces are slightly too high for us, as Aetherians tend to be taller but not unusable. Strangely, the ceiling fades into some obscurity, and I can't tell if there's internal dimensional effects going on here. It seems bigger on the inside. With the strange fractal nature of their vessels and now this interior, I'm thinking that their ship being in a state of dimensional fluctuation is just a part of their tech. We notice a console that's slightly illuminated, and so, well, we might as well start poking buttons. Well, this system was locked, but it didn't take much to lift the lockdown.
Maybe this will allow us to open the door to the hallway behind us.
She's referring to a console over by the door. My lockout seems to have allowed access to a new terminal.
No, the security clearance required to bypass this console is too high. We won't be able to go this way. Let's look around. Optimizing tricorders for environmental scanning.
Well, I'd be disappointed if my Amiga hacking attempts let us in.
What a unique structure. Optimizing for material analysis. Incredible. These polygonal wall structures act as data nodes.
Okay, so it's not just the terminals scattered about that we can interact with.
It appears they store recordings of events that have happened aboard the ship. They contain both visual and auditory data. You don't suppose we're being watched, do you?
Oh, that is incredibly likely. But is the crew in any state to do anything about it?
In any case, it looks like this room's lockdown has been bypassed. Let's try the console by the other door. There must be a way forward.
Although we've never used Aetherian tech, it's strangely familiar.
Well done. All right, we better stay alert. We don't know what the consequences of bypassing the security measures aboard this ship are. For all we know, it could mean a variety of automated countermeasures, or perhaps none at all, given the situation. Let's keep scanning for abnormalities along the way until we get to the bottom of this. Lead the way.
Okay, I will. Kamarki, come on over. I'm not leaving until... Oh, fine. The door seems to have vanished, not opened or slid away, just dissolved into nothing, and the floor beyond houses patches of rippling matter, translucent and moving like water but solid. The lights overhead float, suspended by unseen forces, and there's this crystalline cracked texture to the roof.
It's very empty in here. I wonder where all the crew members are.
I don't know. For all we know, Aetherian ships could be crewed by 2 people. Entering into the next chamber, we can see that the roof's once again just not there, and instead a pink mist is obscuring its distance. The reflective triangular surfaces spread this ambient glow, and now we've got rotating pillars, in the centre of which bubbles some form of liquid metal. Kumake approaches the central console, but something else catches our eye, a piece of machinery, something akin to a broken Borg vinculum discarded to the side of the room. We take a look at the central console, which appears to be part of the security system. Once we're in, it says, "Through Harmony, we are secure."
That's what Tarsine Fey always says.
Yes, a lot actually. It seems to be their philosophy.
Could I have a word?
Of course.
I'm feeling a little uneasy. No, not about the possibility of finding a Borg incursion aboard. It's about the comment I made earlier, about being watched. It was meant to be light-hearted, but I'm starting to think we are being monitored. It doesn't help that this room is on lockdown as well, and it looks like the security clearances increase the further along we get. We'll need to get creative again.
I'd be surprised if we weren't being monitored, but let's not assume intent just yet. I'm seeing plenty of those observation nodes you were talking about. Perhaps we can tinker with one and see its records?
Interesting. Instead of recording in real time, we could recalibrate the output so that the node plays back a recording from the past. At some point, someone aboard this ship must have input the console code needed to unlock this room. Such a recording might also provide us with insight into what happened aboard the Harmony.
I mean, if you could turn them into hollow projectors, guessing they're encrypted though?
Spot on! I would need to input some kind of information about the data we want to access in order to bypass any encrypted subroutines. In theory, this would allow me to recalibrate the node's parameters to play back an older recording, though I'd have to reconfigure the node's memory buffer array to act as a hollow matrix interface instead. In other words, the node will no longer function as a recording subsystem, but as a hollow emitter, activated by a
concussive blast. I mean, tricorder, right? Tricorder?
I have to say, even though I'm not pleased about reverse engineering Aetherian technology without authorization, the science behind this is quite exciting. Hopefully, Tarsine Fey will understand.
I'm just saying, the onus is on the Federation to uphold the Prime Directive, not the external cultures, and in this metaphor, we're the external cultures. So, I'm sure they'd understand.
If you scan the room for information, I will begin recalibrating the node's parameters.
Righto, let's get snooping.
Reconfiguring memory array to optimize for hollow emission output. Remodulating tricorders. Integrating environmental data to bypass encryptions. Done! The system is active. Shall we give it a try?
So, we've basically flipped the cameras into projectors, and let's take a look.
In that case, please follow me.
Huh. Okay, well it may have only lasted a split second, but that was definitely Tarsine Fey, and I'm pretty sure that was Director Hugh. So they were definitely here. Let's see if we can find more.
This technology looks like a fragment of a larger piece.
Interesting. Hugh had several aides with him, and they were investigating that discarded Borg vinculum that I spotted earlier.
Director Hugh, it is good to finally meet you face to face.
And that's right where we came in.
So, you said you needed help.
It worked! So, both Director Hugh and Tarsine Fey were aboard the Harmony. What's more, the decay rate of the chronoton particles emitted by these projections placed the recording approximately 1 hour before the Harmony's warp trail signature in Ramizad. It's likely that whatever battle took place out there occurred after the Director beamed aboard. Curious. It's a start. However, I'm sure you've noticed that these recording fragments are both static and out of order. The node's harmonic emitters didn't take too kindly to being tampered with. I doubt we'll be able to play out the full animated sequence of events. That said, we should be able to realign the data and unlock the full recording if we place these fragments in the right order.
That shouldn't be too hard.
Place these fragments in the correct order. What happened first?
Well, I'm guessing by the greeting, that was first.
Right. Tassine Fay welcomed Director Hugh and his bridge officers aboard the Harmony. What happened then?
Then showed them the Borg tech.
After Tassine Fay welcomed Director Hugh and his bridge officers aboard, Director Hugh scanned a piece of technology which he considered to be part of a fragment of a larger piece. So, naturally...
Discussion, and then they moved on.
The fragments have been placed in the correct order. First, Tassine Fay welcomed Director Hugh and his team aboard the ship. Then, Director Hugh scanned some technology which was part of a larger piece. Lastly, Tassine Fay asked Director Hugh and his officers to follow her, so they all left the room. We did it! Right. I've fed the data back into the node in the correct order this time. We should be able to play the full sequence of events now. Remember, it's likely to be visually incomplete due to the harmonics malfunction within the node, but the acoustics shouldn't be affected. Shall we?
Despite Kamaki's reservations at poking around in the Aetherians' systems, I swear I detect a hint of a smile. We move back to the entry of the room and hit the play button, witnessing a holographic Tassine Fay and visiting liberated Borg.
Director Hugh, it is good to finally meet you face to face. I have heard a lot about you and your skill set.
Leader Tassine Fay, please call me Hugh. Likewise, I've heard a lot about the Aetherians. So, you said you needed help?
Yes, a piece of Borg technology has been found aboard the Harmony. We may be compromised.
Let's see. You're right. This is control Borg technology, all right. And yet, the energy signature isn't an exact match. This technology looks like a fragment of a larger piece. We'll need to locate the rest of it before I can make an assessment.
Of course. Our diplomatic quarters are available, should you wish to stay longer for this assessment. Please excuse the furnishing. Under normal circumstances, we redress our rooms for all our guests.
Well, these circumstances are far from normal. But that won't be necessary. We won't be staying long.
I see. How unfortunate. Perhaps another time. In that case, please follow me.
The last part sees Tassine Fay walk to the left-hand console and input a command code clearly visible from our position, and there we have it, the override for this room.
Great teamwork! We've pieced it all together. It looks like Director Hugh and his officers beamed aboard the Harmony to help Tassine Fay identify a piece of...
Control Borg technology. She seemed very concerned it had ended up on their ship.
Exactly. Fortunately, the data node recording also shows the console code used by Tassine Fay to bypass security. I suggest we look out for other consoles along the way. Perhaps we'll be able to use this method again. This probably also won't be the last data node we'll be able to interact with aboard the ship. Right, let's move on, shall we? So it seems like the starship debris we found earlier might have been control Borg then. If we proceed, the door behind us will likely lock. We'll need to choose a path.
Better than finding a director's shipping pieces then, but we might be dealing with a subtle incursion that was uncovered. As for choosing a path of where to go next, we can follow Hugh, but the override has also opened the file door, and well, I feel like being nosy.
Right behind you.
Let's take a look around while we're here. After all, the Aetherians might come to stop us, in which case we might get some answers.
This looks like a social lounge. I didn't know the Aetherians were so willing to host. Very hospitable, though a little deserted for my taste.
But the existence of a room like this means that there aren't just 2 people crewing the entire ship. There should be an entire crew here. I think this is art. I don't want to touch it. But what's this, however? It's a data device. It reads Lukari Fusion Conference, followed by an option of 200,000 PA.
Perhaps it's related to stellar research. I'm surprised I haven't been contacted about this.
Your government's sharing stellar data with the Aetherians? 200,000. Where's that familiar? We move to the next chamber.
I take it these are the redressed diplomatic quarters Tassine Faye spoke of in the data node recording. I must say, I wasn't aware that a diplomatic meeting had been scheduled between any Lukari ambassadors and Aetherians.
Considering Admiral Kumarke's position, she'd definitely know if such a thing were taking place. Well, it could be set up for a collaboration or future visit. After all, this place looks entirely unoccupied, no personal belongings, changes of clothes, sundries.
Right. Perhaps this is for a future meeting that hasn't been coordinated yet. Director Hugh did mention abnormal circumstances in that recording. It's possible the situation is far more dire than we had imagined. I'll be sure to check in with Lukari Command once I return.
That might not be a bad idea. Feels strange that you'd be left out of the loop on such matters.
Oh my. These are almost identical to the furnishings of Lukari diplomatic quarters. It seems like the Aetherians have replicated our style almost to perfection.
Oh, clearly they were paying attention then. Actually, how much attention were they paying? That's kind of creepy. We find another data storage device, but this one's inaccessible.
This looks like a shortcut.
Do you think it loops round, joins the corridor we were at before? We move on into the next room. Well, it looks like the Aetherians were pretty welcoming. Hopefully Hugh is still safe.
It's one of Director Hugh's officers.
Well, shit.